where the real ones fight not for a cause. Beyond the junkyard, no script, no mercy, leave your mark. Beyond the junkyard, where the real ones fight not for a cause. Beyond the junkyard, no script, no mercy, leave your mark. Beyond the junkyard, 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 beyond the junkyard.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the next episode of the Beyond the Junkyard podcast. I am your host, Junkyard James, and with me, you can't see him. He's in his vehicle driving home, I assume. Is the man with the most sauce, Cody Marinara. How are you, my friend?
Yeah, this is different. Listen, sometimes when you're married, you make impulse decisions, and I made one tonight and decided I wanted us to go to Publix. And that's like 35 minutes away from our house, so I didn't get home until about 6:30. Ate really quickly, and then we didn't get here until 8, and we just happened to be leaving, and it's showtime. But I'm dedicated, so I said, you know what? Let's do the show in the car. Don't worry, I'm not looking at the screen. I'm looking on the road, so we'll be all right. Now, with that being said, sometimes the impulse decisions don't always work out well because, we went to Publix because the wifey had quite a bit of things that she wanted to look at and get. They were either had deals or on sale or whatever. And she didn't find all that she really wanted. And so it was kind of a failed trip to Publix. And we still got stuff, but I think we left more dissatisfied than satisfied. That's how our Thursday's going. How was your day going, sir?
We're doing pretty good. I guess maybe, I don't know, better than yours. Who knows? But it's Thursday and we are live here on the podcast, which is fun. Best part of my Thursday is always being able to hang out with the fans here in the Junkyard community. Make sure that you join the conversation in the comments. Go ahead and comment your thoughts if you're watching on YouTube. And if you're watching on the X feed, do me a favor. I appreciate you watching on the X feed. But go to the YouTube page. It's Junkyard Media Group on YouTube. Hit that like button, comment, subscribe. Thank you all for watching. This is the best part of the week. We get to talk about wrestling and sports and all of that good stuff. And we get to do it partnering with our good friends over at Dubby Energy. Dubby is your taste buds' favorite energy drink. And you know the spiel that I share, and so I'm not gonna go over it again. It's a energy mix. You dump it straight into water. There's none of the bad chemicals and the maltodextrin and all of that other good stuff. And you know the code, right? Go use code Beyond the Yard at w.gg and save 10% on your order. That's Beyond the Yard at checkout, w.gg. Go ahead and try it for yourself. Dubby Energy, be better. All right, so this week I thought we'll start the show like we normally do, which is, we're going to drop that promo. And I'm going to be interested to see your promo from the driver's seat of your car today. But afterwards, we're going to take a bit of a detour that we haven't taken in quite quite a while on the show, but football season is back in swing. A full slate of preseason games tonight and tomorrow night and Saturday. And so I thought it would be a little bit of fun if we made some predictions here before the regular season on some accolades like MVP, a team that may be overhyped, a team that may be underhyped, and ultimately who our Super Bowl matchup may be. And then we'll get into some wrestling stuff to close the show out. But my friend, it's your turn. It's time to drop that promo. And usually it's something that's grinded your gears or whatever within the wrestling industry, but we'll open it up to a wider selection of stuff. Anything just grind your gears this week, my friend?
Well, me and Mr. Khan need to have a conversation about why he hates Charlotte, North Carolina. We're going on 2 straight years without a show in Charlotte, but yet Asheville gets 2 shows, and North Charleston, South Carolina gets 2 shows when they both draw dick. I don't understand it, but hey, what do I know? I don't care about what the issues are at Bojangles Coliseum. There are other venues. We have music halls. We have other arenas in the area. Find a way. Come on, man. What are we doing? That's kind of neither here nor there. That's almost an every week conversation. But I will say, though, that I think it's hilarious how the Fed is so scared of AEW that they always put on a show during AEW's pay-per-view and weekends. But more specifically, what's going to happen with All Out in September in Chicago, and of course, the Fed is running Worlds Collide between NXT and AAA, also in Chicago. And while the show is going to draw more than the crowd at All Out, and that's just simply because Allstate Arena holds more seats than the Now Arena, the fact that they have to put, I don't know if it's confirmed, but it's probable they're going to put Roman Reigns on an NXT/AAA card. Roman Reigns is not affiliated really with either one of those. And then Fragile Phil is going to be on the card as well, but we already knew that because it's in Chicago, and God forbid we don't put one Bill Phil in on the card at a Chicago show. He'll get his feelings hurt, and we care about his feelings. I don't, but some people do. That to me shows how much of a credible threat WWE feels that AEW is. That we have to continuously put on shows on the same day, same night, and it's mostly pay-per-views. And then they have to put some of their biggest stars to appear on 2 different brands that have no correlation with Roman Reigns or CM Punk. And because, we want to outdraw them, outsell them, out everything with them. And it's like, really? Why are we stooping down to this low? That's pretty petty, pretty stupid, but what do I know? I just think that whole thing is ridiculous, and it's not going to matter who's on that card because while they do have some good talent in NXT and good talent on AAA, I think we both know that the better show is going to be All Out on that particular Sunday in September. That's all I got.
Yeah, well, maybe to upset you a little bit more, AEW announced the 30th of September Dynamite runs, I feel like for the second time this year, from the Peterson Event Center in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So they get another show. I think that was announced yesterday. I'm still holding out hope that maybe Charlotte gets Worlds in, but by the look of it, it's probably going to be like Chicago or some other West Coast city. It seems like Tony Khan enjoys the West Coast and the Midwest more than some of the South, but who knows? My turn, I guess. Let's drop this promo. And we'll drop this promo on, who should I drop it on? There's a lot that I feel like I can talk about. Oh, I really don't got anything in the wrestling world, to be honest. I thought AEW Dynamite last night was actually pretty good. We'll talk about that kind of at the end of the show a little bit more detail. But I do have a bit of an issue, and that is that they keep I don't get the match is going to be great. Kyle Fletcher, Okada, Takeshita triple threat at All In. It's going to be a great match. But Kyle Fletcher, why is he feuding with the Don Callis family? And it makes it seem like now Kyle Fletcher is going to turn babyface, and it's just unnecessary to turn Kyle Fletcher babyface. I hate it. I don't understand the story. It's going to be probably match of the night in Wembley Stadium, if not one of the best matches of the night. I just don't like the story where it's going. Fletcher turned on Takeshita, and then why is he now fighting both of them? It doesn't make sense. There's no dynamic there that really makes sense to me. And so Tony Khan, please help me figure out what the hell this is. Other than that, I mean, I think in the wrestling world, I've stayed away from the WWE for the last couple of weeks. Apparently, Solo Sikoa is the funniest man in the world now. I don't get that. We added another Fatu to the 850 that are in the WWE on Tuesday when Zilla Fatu shows up in NXT for absolutely no fucking reason. I'm just trying to think, what else can I vent about before we get into the next piece of the show? I'll say this. I don't like, and someone mentioned this the other day yesterday it may have been, while watching Dynamite, the inconsistencies in AEW's commentary teams, meaning that they seemingly change week after week, show after show. It's very irritating. Like, can we just have a set commentary team for each show and stop moving people from one show to the other? It's kind of annoying, but small things here when AEW's running pretty decent shows week after week. Let's get into kind of the meat and potatoes of this episode, which is the NFL preseason is beginning tonight. Well, I guess technically it started last week with the Hall of Fame game, which, by the way, did I see that right? That the Hall of Fame game had 7 million people watch it, which seems like a lot for a meaningless football game. So good job, Panthers and Cardinals, I guess. But the regular preseason starts tonight. We got like 6 games tonight, like 5 or 6 tomorrow, and then the rest on Saturday. And so I thought, let's go ahead and put ourselves on the spot, because if you were a viewer, an OG viewer of this channel, back when we did what was it called, the Calling Audibles podcast on the YouTube channel, and it was a football specific show. Sometimes I said some things that didn't really turn out to be true. More specifically, like saying Anthony Richardson would be one of the best quarterbacks in football. And, well, he's playing tonight and has 3 turnovers. So, in a preseason game. So, it's not looking good for his career. Come on, Anthony. You're making it look like an idiot.
Reminder who said that?
I said that, right?
Okay. All right. Yeah, just want to make sure.
I've also said stuff like Daniel Jones is a top 10 quarterback, and then even on this show, I made fun of the Carolina Hurricanes, and they ended up winning the whole fucking NHL.
I think there's a trend here that you're becoming the reverse Dan house, and you might want to stop.
Yeah, well, we're going to put ourselves on the spot tonight, and we're going to make some predictions that way in February. When we get to the end of the season, we can come back to this episode and see just how off I was and how maybe spot on you are. Who knows? And so the first category that I want to talk about is our prediction before a snap of regular season football has been made. Who do we think the MVP of the league this year is going to be? I'll give you the floor first.
Man, there are some great options, to be honest with you. I think that, man, I don't know, man. There are so many good quarterbacks now out in the league, and it's like, what team has overall set up the best for delivering an MVP type of caliber player? And there's a few. Call me crazy, man. I think I'm gonna go with Sam Darnold. Call me weird. Call me crazy. I'm telling you, man. That boy has got so much confidence in him now. Obviously, coming off that Super Bowl. I know the defense really kind of carried the Seahawks to the Super Bowl last year, but, maybe it's just because I watched the first two episodes of Hard Knocks with the Seahawks. I don't know, but just Darnold just seems so comfortable. First of all, I didn't know that his spin rate was like one of the best, if not is the best in the NFL, which is interesting. Probably a very useless fact, but it's kind of cool that he can throw the best quarterback in the league. And I don't know, man. Cooper Kupp, Jackson Smith and Jigba. I just think that, I know they lost Kenneth Walker in the offseason, but I still think that they are riding such a high coming off that Super Bowl win, and Darnold has got such a confidence about him that some of these other quarterbacks do, of course, like Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Matthew Stafford, even though he's a little bit older, Jared Goff, and so on and so forth, Lamar Jackson. But I just think that Darnold, to me, is set up for the best, to me, to win the MVP. Now, I will say that a close second, in my opinion, Dak Prescott. That Cowboys offense looks pretty scary, I'm not going to lie. Coming from a Commanders fan, I am scared of their offense. But I think it's either Sam Darnold or Dak, but I'm gonna go with Darnold.
Okay. Well, the MVP of the league in 2026 is I think it's obvious. It's going to be a quarterback, and this is a quarterback who last year was a contender for the MVP, and he didn't really have that guy that he could throw the ball to and, down the field, create separation. There's that guy that's there. And this year, he has that guy. They traded for him, traded a high draft pick to get him. And I'm talking about Josh Allen. He's going to become a two-time MVP candidate. I'm sure some New England Patriots fans were thinking, oh, he's talking about Drake May. No, fuck Drake May. Josh Allen is going to become a two-time MVP holder. He finally has a number one receiver for, I would say, the first time since Stephon Diggs left the team, which, by the way, Stephon Diggs is on your team now, so how does that make you feel?
Damn excited, I'll tell you that much.
Look, if your offensive line can stay healthy, maybe Jaden Daniels, and if Jaden Daniels can stop worrying about his college football team, maybe your Commanders can shock the league here a little bit with Diggs and McLaurin and Jakrowski something Mayer, whatever his name is.
We call him Bill.
Bill, you call him Bill. But no, Josh Allen is going to become the MVP. Let's move on to the next category I want to ask about, which is every year there seems to be a team that kind of flies under the radar. No one really thinks about them a whole lot. And then at the end of the year, it's like they're there. They're in the playoffs. They're one of the better teams. I mean, last year you could have said a team like the Broncos or the Patriots or even really the Seattle Seahawks were this underrated team that nobody really gave any consideration to, even the Jacksonville Jaguars last year. And they shocked the league. And so this year, who is going to be that team that maybe is flying under the radar, but is actually going to be a pretty good team? Who do you think?
That's a tough call. I think that there's a few teams for sure that were not very good last year that did get quite a bit better. And you can call me a homer, and I'm okay with that. I have no problem saying that at all. I think us. I think the Commanders, and the reason is because obviously we went 5-12 last year, complete opposite from what we did in 2024. Jaden was hurt most of the year, and my God, I know every team goes through injuries, but I swear to Jesus, it felt like the football gods were literally just like toying with us and saying, "Yep, this player's going to get hurt this week. This player's going to get hurt that week." I mean, by week 2, we lost Dorrance Armstrong, we lost Austin Eckler, we lost Trey Amos, and then eventually down the road we did lose Dorrance Armstrong, and he may have not gotten the Myles Garrett sack total, but he was going to get close because of how well he was doing in that early portion of the season. But anyways, turn the page to this year. Now, yes, we did lose Laremy Tunsil for, if not all the season, most of the season, and that hurts. That's really going to hurt our offensive line. I think the running game is going to suffer because of that. And I was really looking forward to that running game because I think we got 4 really strong backs, and only 3 are going to make it. If it's my guess, it's going to be Bill Crosby-Merritt, Katron Allen, who we drafted from Penn State in the 5th round this year, Fatback, I think they call him, or Fat Man, excuse me, and Rashad White. But the offense as a whole, and this was before Stephon Diggs, I still would have picked us. But now that you add Stephon Diggs to the wide receiver room, now we have McLaurin, who's got a true wide receiver 2 opposite of him. And Terry's going to be not just solely on the left outside part of the offense like he has been for his 8 seasons in Washington. Now with David Blau, the new offensive coordinator, first-time offensive coordinator, it's going to be more of a traditional NFL-type system, a lot more under center and play actions and zone runs and this and that. Add Antonio Williams, we got out of Clemson in the 3rd round. Very excited for him. I think our receiving core is actually very underrated, but going to be very quick, very speedy. And then factor in Chig Okonkwo, we got in the offseason, probably the most explosive tight end we've had in a while. And then you flip over to the defense, who was god-awful. That might have been the worst defense I've ever seen in my life. And we got rid of Bobby Wood Jr., and then we brought in Durante Jones from the Brian Flores' scheme in Minnesota. And he's going to come at you with just the most insane different looks and packages on the defensive side. But the pieces we added on defense, how is this for a defensive line? And I'm going to go with D end, your edge rushers, and your D linemen, your D tackles. Charles Omenihu, Adolph Owe, Jason, Dorrance Armstrong, Javonte John Baptiste, and then you got Joshua Josephs we got out of Tennessee. And then you get into the nitty-gritty in the middle of that defensive line. You got Johnny Newton, Daron Payne, Javon Kinlaw, Tim Settle, Dietrich Wise. That's just the D line. And now you factor in your linebackers with, obviously our first-round pick, Sonny Styles, and Leo Chanel from the Chiefs. So, Frankie Louvu is still there. Jordan McGee that we got a couple years ago in the draft out of Temple. The front seven is going to be loaded. The back end of the defense is in a spot with cornerbacks. Nick Cross. Added Amik Robertson in the offseason as well. Trey Amos is there, Mike St. Rasul, and then they get Rasul Douglas from free agency too. I just think overall, man, the unknowns with the first-time offensive coordinator, first-time defensive coordinator, but just the pieces we had. I just feel, man, this is going to be a different type of team. I think we're going to be aggressive on defense. I think the offense is going to be calculated, but can't be explosive. And the NFC is going to be a dogfight. The Eagles are going to be good. The Cowboys are going to be good. The Giants are going to be better. I don't think they're going to quite take the step to win the division. I could be very wrong, but I don't know, man. I just think that top to bottom, both sides of the ball, I think that we've got a hell of a shot to shock some people and not only win maybe 10, 11, 12 games, but win the division for the first time since 2020.
That's fair. That's a fair assessment. I'm staying in the NFC East, by the way, and you mentioned them just a minute ago. I really think the New York Giants are going to be one of those teams. I don't know if they'll win the division. That division is going to be tough. I mean, all of those teams are actually pretty even, I think. And we may have a situation where 3 NFC East teams make the playoffs this year. I think the Giants will be one of them. And maybe caveat is they need to stay healthy. Malik Neighbors is coming back from a big injury. But you look at what they brought in at the wide receiving room to help Neighbors. They brought in Calvin Austin. They brought in Darnell Mooney. Fullback, Pat Ricard followed Harbaugh from the Ravens to the Giants, same as Isaiah Likely at tight end. And then that defense, I mean, you mentioned the Commanders' defensive line. I mean, the Giants have a pretty good defense too. DJ Reader, Leaky Fotu, Brian Burns. They brought in Tremaine Edmonds. I was watching some practice tape of Arvell Reese. He looks freaking good. In that Giants linebacking core, they got Abdul Carter and Kayvon Thibodeau. And the back end's a little weaker. Tyler Newman, Paulson Adebo. By the way, I got to give you props. You listed all the Commanders players, and I'm almost certain you didn't look at your phone. And I had to pull up the Giants roster to figure out what I was going to say.
It does help when that is your favorite team, and you consume so much content in the off season, so you have to remember all this stuff. So I will say that, pound for pound, knowledge of my team, I will go to bat against anybody. However, some of those players you just named, like I know most of those players you named from the Giants, the bigger names, but some of the other people, I'm like, yeah, who the hell is that again? If it was some other team, I would have had to look up my phone for sure, but that's not the reason why I picked the Commanders. I just genuinely think we're going to have a really good season. But I can see the Giants also having a good season too. I think they're going to be underrated, and just like with the Giants, whenever they won their Super Bowls with Eli Manning, they were not known for their offense. They had some good offensive players and relied heavily on their running game, but it was all about defense. And if they kind of prove that theory again, then there's every chance that they will lean on their defense to have them be successful in the season.
Absolutely. And then on the other side of the thing, like we just talked about the most underrated team, or the team that may be the most slept on. Now let's flip the script. There are teams that are going to be absolutely overhyped, and they have been since the off season began. And man, I can't wait to share my opinion on this. I'm gonna let you go first. Which team do you think is overhyped and is not going to meet expectations this year?
Can I make a pivot? Can you actually go first? Because I just parked and I got to get inside real quick. I'm still beyond, but you go first.
Sure. Go ahead. We'll pivot here. All right. This is going to take a while, so maybe that's a good thing because I'm going to rant here for a minute. The New England Patriots, man, they're so overhyped because they lucked out with the easiest schedule ever to get to the Super Bowl, and man, they're so lucky that they got where they got, and they had this big year, and they won the division, and they did it with a whole bunch of nobodies. But here's what we figured out, right? The New England Patriots offense wasn't really good when Drake May was under pressure, right? They basically are saying Drake May is a top 10 quarterback because he had one somewhat stellar season. And here's my rule of thumb when it comes to quarterbacks. Everybody can do it once, right? Like even Tim Tebow won a playoff game. I'm not going to say Tim Tebow is one of the best quarterbacks ever because he won a playoff game. Drake May looked absolutely terrible in the Super Bowl. His decision making sucked. His offensive line wasn't that great. And here's the thing, yeah, the Patriots got better in terms of talent on the roster, but most of their talent is on the defensive side of the football, which didn't lose them the Super Bowl. The offense lost them the Super Bowl. The offensive line that was terrible in the Super Bowl is what cost them the Super Bowl. And so they go out and they make this splash trade to get A.J. Brown, plus all of the distractions with Coach Mike Vrabel this offseason with him and Diana Rossini. I just don't like the culture there. You add in the fact that the New England Patriots now are going from what was I think a third or fourth place schedule last year to a first place schedule this year. They play some really hard teams. I think them and the Bears have 14 of the 17 games common opponents. And so they got a really difficult schedule that they're playing this year. And my concern is, does Drake May have the same season last year that he did last year in the regular season? Because let's just be honest, he lucked his way through some of those playoff games. If Justin Herbert didn't break his wrist in the regular season, if the Texans had a quarterback that didn't know how to turn the ball over, if Jared Stidham wasn't the starting quarterback for the Denver Broncos in the AFC title game, do the New England Patriots even make the Super Bowl last year? It's going to be hard to go 13-4 again this year. And I honestly, my expectation for the New England Patriots this year is they're going to be lucky to win 8 games. I think they may go 8-9 this year. And so my most overhyped team is going to be the New England Patriots. And so I don't know if you're able to go now, but if you're free, your turn, my friend, to who's your most overhyped team?
I think that it is I think it's the Bears. I think that while, yes, Caleb Williams. Oh, that did not work. Okay. I think Caleb Williams had a obviously really good season last year. I think that they kind of did what the Commanders did 2 years ago and struck while the iron was hot. But I just don't think that they're all that. Part of that is because the Commanders, Bears fans have a bit of a rivalry going on right now because of quarterbacks going back and forth, with Jaden and Caleb being compared 1 and 2 and stuff like that. But yeah, I just don't think that I don't think the Bears are going to be all that this year. I don't think they're going to be that good, and I don't think that they even win the division. I think the Packers will win the division this year. I think the Bears may be good enough to make the playoffs. We'll see, but yeah, I think they're just a little overhyped, though. Just my opinion.
That's fair. We'll move on to the final piece. I was going to say, I don't know why I put this down. This is kind of the same thing as underrated. I had most surprising team, so we'll get rid of that. And we'll go to the last piece of the NFL prediction part of this show. And ultimately, at the end of the year, 2 teams make the Super Bowl. And I think it's in LA this year, SoFi Stadium, if I'm correct. And so let's make our prediction before a single snap of real football happens. We're 3 or 4 weeks away from the football games that actually, count on the record. What is our Super Bowl matchup for the 2026-2027 season? Go ahead, my friend.
I'm going Rams and Ravens. I think that obviously the addition of with the Ravens, Trey Hendrickson. I think the addition of him, obviously the offense. I know they lost Likely and a few other people in the offseason, but I don't know, for some reason I just have a sneaky feeling about them this year. The defense is going to be solid. I think the offense will be good enough. And Rams loaded up, getting Myles Garrett in the trade, of course, and the offense they have with Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams. I mean, Matt Stafford, I think, still has it. Might be his last real true shot. If he doesn't retire in the offseason next year. I think that they're just set up for success and are ready to. I mean, if the NFC West is anything like last year, it'll be a dogfight between 3 teams, obviously, with the Niners and the Seahawks. But I think the Rams are a year older and experienced, and Niners are hurt. Seahawks coming off the Super Bowl hangover. I think that might be the division for the taking for the Rams, and could propel them to again be in the Super Bowl in their own stadium like they were in 2021 against the Bengals, and possibly hoist that Lombardi again in their home stadium. But I think it'll be Ravens and Rams.
Well, this is so. Look, I don't really like when people say the Buffalo Bills fans are like Dallas Cowboys fans. I don't get the comparison. We're not that delusional. But with that being said, the Super Bowl this year is going to be represented by, and on the NFC side, I really have this suspicion here that the Seattle Seahawks are going to go back to the Super Bowl this year. I think they lost several players on their defense, but I don't know if you saw this or not. They just signed Terrion Arnold to their defense, which if he didn't do whatever criminal activity that he did, he'd still be on the Lions, and now he's on the Super Bowl champion Seahawks. That offense is really good. Sam Darnold is a really good quarterback. Charbonnet will come back. They picked up Jerrion Price in the draft in the first round. Smith and Jigba. I mean, they got a really good offense, and the defense is there. And one of the best coaches in the game. And yeah, they lost Kubiak, the offensive coordinator, to the Raiders, but I just think that the Seahawks are really good. And then on the AFC side, the Buffalo Bills, because they have a legit number 1, Josh Allen, the best player in the league. And then new head coach, new stadium, new jerseys, as hideous as some think they are. I kind of dig them. The helmets, not so much. New stadium. Everybody complaining about the obstructed views in the stadium. Go to Citi Field, the Met Stadium. Go to SoFi. Go to any stadium in the world. You'll have obstructed views. Suck it up. I know you're paying a lot of money for them. But anyways, there's a lot of new in Buffalo. Josh Allen has a new baby girl. And she's going to hold a new thing in Buffalo, which is the Lombardi Trophy. And in February. So Seahawks, Bills, Super Bowl. That's my prediction. We're going to quickly pivot here as we kind of wrap up the show we got a few things a few quick conversational pieces about AEW that I just kind of want to run past you. The first thing is, somebody pointed out, MJF is using the moniker now, One True Champion. And I didn't, at first when MJF started calling him that, I didn't really think too much of it. But then you put it as an acronym, and it's OTC, which is Roman Reigns' moniker, which is One Tribal Chief. OTC. Is that just mere coincidence, or are they doing that on purpose?
Yeah, I think that's on purpose. I think Max or whoever came up with that, they knew what they were doing, which is fine. I find it funny. Everybody copies everybody in some capacity, and if WWE wants to continue to not really copy, but try to book shows with AEW on the same day, same city, what's the harm in MJF calling him an OTC? I think it's fine. In a way, he is kind of the tribal chief of AEW, being an OG member and making it work over there for 7 years now. But I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah, kind of same here. It is what it is. WWE, they have done so much to kind of mimic AEW over the past 7 years. So, I mean, AEW is going to strike back sometimes and be kind of snarky. And this is kind of fun. And MJF is, heel MJF on social media saying that it's not related. And it's fun. Look at his social media if you have a quick minute. And you'll get a good laughter there. All right. Second of the third topic. The last 3 weeks of AEW Dynamite have had, now last week for Grand Slam it was planned, but the week before Grand Slam and then yesterday, I don't think it was necessarily planned that they would have a 30-minute overrun. Tony Khan, 2 hours is a lot of time to watch a weekly show. And I keep falling asleep during your main events because they don't start till 10 o'clock. Are you okay with them having, 30-minute overruns, or is it too much? Yeah.
I prefer them to not have a 30-minute overrun. I'm an old man now. I value my sleep, especially with having I guess still technically a newborn, even though it'll be 2 months old on Saturday. I can't do these 10:30 shows on Wednesday nights anymore. I can barely stay up for the pay-per-views, let alone Dynamites or Collisions or whatever. Every now and then, I think it's fine. So I mean, I don't think besides last week and this week they've done that. I think they did it actually for Beach Break, if I'm not mistaken, right? They went over during Beach Break. I don't know if it was 30 minutes, but I know they went over. Every now and then it's fine. Sometimes you do have to hype up as, Dynamite being a really big show, and that's fine and all, but let's not make it an every week thing, man. I can barely keep up as is on Wednesday.
Yeah.
I really have to watch the shows partially at home and then partially at work the next day, or especially for preparing for the podcast. I may have to watch it all at work or catch a highlight reel and catch up on it. But yeah, notice I'm making it an every week thing. I can't do that.
It's a bit much sometimes. And I'm cool with it if it's like, sometimes they announce that the show is going 2.5 hours. At least I can kind of mentally prepare myself, like this is going 2.5 hours. But when it's not announced that it, and then you look and they're like, oh, it's the main event. And then you look and it's like, what? It's 9:58. The main event's 2 minutes long, and it ends up going 25 minutes over or whatever. And maybe it's one of two things. One, and this is probably the most logical. Warner Bros. Turner Broadcasting, enjoy the AEW content and are okay with giving them these overruns because it's such good content and the ratings are doing actually better than all the Fed boys and all that, better than they think. Or maybe it's just there's no good content that they can show at 10 o'clock on a Wednesday night. And so AEW gets the overrun because nobody gives a shit about what comes on after AEW anyway. Probably like a rerun of Big Bang Theory or something. All right, the last point of discussion for the show tonight. All In is in 17 days. We got, I think, eight matches confirmed. And so my question is, what is your favorite storyline so far for AEW All In?
And that's a good question. I think my favorite so far probably has got to be, as much as I really didn't want the match to happen, I think Willow and Mercedes. They've turned it into and obviously a personal storyline, and how they're correlated, how they continuously keep going back and forth. I think I would choose that. Ospreay and Omega's pretty good. Cope and Cage and the Bucks have been all right, but I think Willow and Mercedes have been good.
Yeah, just to be different, because that's a good one. I'll say Omega and Ospreay has been fairly decent on the story. It was a little bit awkward yesterday. I don't know if the Vegas crowd knew how to react to Will's promo last night. Will can kind of be a little bit awkward when he cuts a promo. But I think that's a pretty good story. That, it's overachieving what I think everybody assumed the story would be like, oh, Will's going to fight Kenny and he's going to win and blah, blah, blah. But they're making the story, they're making lemonade out of the lemons that they've been given, I guess. Because, to be completely honest, when it was basically made official, it would be Omega and Ospreay. There wasn't a whole lot of story going into it. Obviously, Ospreay won the Owen and Omega beat MJF, and so that's how they're meeting, but they've actually turned that into a pretty good story. Honorable mention, Brawling Birds versus the Divine Dominion, just simply for one reason. They're on the main card for the pay-per-view. Woo! Congratulations, ladies. You finally made the main card.
Don't worry. It'll be the last time in 2026.
Yep. Man, I'll say this, though, real quick before we close out. I'm missing Tekla on Wednesday and Saturday nights. The women's division needs Tekla back. I honestly, even that more so now, wish that she was still your women's champion. But that's all I had planned for us. So any last words before we kind of wrap it up tonight, my friend?
17 days away from All In. Still anxious to see how ticket sales are doing. They've been picking up a lot of steam here over the last 2 weeks, and if they're not hitting 40, they're pretty close to 40. I said if they can get to 50,000, even though it would be less than the last time they were at Wembley, I would still consider that a success. They're getting close. I don't know if they'll get to 50. They'll be close to it. Lower some of the prices, man. Let's just pack out Wembley.
Do you want to know how they can get to 50,000? And I got to agree with Papa Meltzer on this one, on his show with Alvarez today. He mentioned this. I know a lot of fans are not really pushing for the New Day to be like, they want them to be a surprise at Wembley Stadium that they're there. Here's the thing, though. You need something big to fill out that stadium. And so you got to, and I really do feel like they got to announce that the New Day has a part in the show. I think that would sell out a lot of tickets. And with Swerve interfering Hangman on the show last night. It almost feels like Swerve and the New Day or whatever they're going to go by, are going to fight for the trios titles against Bandito and Hangman and Brody. So I think that's how they can sell some tickets there. There's that familiar face. But who knows?
Yeah. I'm not saying it would be a bad idea to do that to ruin the surprise. If TK has a few more surprises or a couple of surprises up his sleeve for All In, then maybe it wouldn't be a bad idea to do that to get some last minute ticket sales. But typically the week of an AEW pay-per-view is when they do the best tickets besides the on-sale date. So maybe a week out of All In, they really start selling some tickets. So we'll see.
When you gotta think there's some surprises that are going to be shown in the gauntlet. So
yeah, that's true. And
I think that's where you can save some of those like names like a Sheamus or something like that would be at the gauntlet. I wish there was like a women's gauntlet because there's a couple women that I've heard are maybe coming to AEW, and that would be a good way to introduce them, even though the women's division is super loaded already, and not everybody gets time as it is. Okay, one last thing. My critique. They have that 4-way match for the TBS title next week, and it's Chris Statlander, Maya World, Persephone, and Sheeta. But on the show last night, Thunder Rosa was involved in the match. Why doesn't she get to be part of this match? Like, to me, continuity matters, and it kind of makes no sense that Thunder Rosa doesn't get a part of this match, but Chris Statlander does, and I don't just. They really didn't explain that really well. Like, Thunder Rosa's just there because they're close to Texas, I guess, was why she was there yesterday.
I mean, they're in Vegas. It's not like that close to Texas, but I don't know. Yeah, I mean, that's just been the ever continuing thing of the women's division. It's like, where's Waldo? Where's the women's division type of thing? There's no real continuity and consistency, but yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, quick one-liner, and then we'll close it up here. Thoughts on the Continental Classic Cup, the C3 so far?
I think it's been good. I think that they can kind of continue that and make that the summer tradition. I've enjoyed it. I'm cool with it, and AEW does tournaments really, really well. So, yeah, I've been enjoying it.
I hope Nigel wins it all and becomes the Continental Champion. Anyways, I'll send it back to you for the last time. You can say the final words, and we can get out of here tonight.
Well, as much as this was an interesting and different way of doing the podcast tonight, thanks for everybody for tuning in and making it happen and making it work. We'll let little man here say the final words. He can't say them, but that's okay. We'll say it for you, bud. We'll just say, stay saucy, friends, and we'll see you next week.
This is wrestling without the filter.